Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video. Today, your boy done messed up. I never did a character guide on Trey. Somebody brought this to my attention, and it's a shame because I really like Trey, so I figured let's go ahead. He's on a banner right now. Let's go ahead and do a base character guide for this guy. So we got one on the channel, and then whenever he gets his FR BT, we'll do another guide for him. But I think he's very usable right now. I kind of showcased him a little bit earlier with Rubicante, so I definitely think players can get a use out of this guy. I do think he's one of those cases of an LD only character that actually can still work in today's meta and work very well, actually. So for those of you unfamiliar with Trey, he's a non-elemental damage dealer, but he's a trap-based character. He actually has like 3 different traps that he has going all at the same time. So yeah, you can do a lot with him, and it doesn't eat up like a ton of debuff slots because one of them doesn't even eat up a slot at all, which is really nice, right? So in this video, we're going to look at his calls, his artifacts, and his spheres, and then we'll take a look at a little showcase and see what this man can do, right? So his calls, I don't know that his calls are too noteworthy. They do put down traps, but that's pretty much it, right? So Dynamite Arrow is going to do an attack and put the Dynamite trap down. Firewall is going to do some damage and then put the Firewall trap down. So you'll hear what those traps do in a minute when I actually go through his kit. But other than that, it doesn't do anything special for the caller. You just get some damage and you get a trap. So if for some reason... I mean, I guess if you're doing like a trap-based FR setup and you want more traps than what your party has and you want to add more on there, sure. But it's not really a call I think to use very often, right? Let's look at Trey himself here, and we're going to look at his artifacts and his spheres. So for artifacts, what you want to go with, you want to think of him as a damage dealer, because all those traps, it's all based off of his stats, right? And that's really what he is. He's dealing damage. So you want to go attack 108 and then his C50 passive, which is called Erudite Archer Boost. So it's going to do more max brave and attack. So that's what I would go with there. And then we're going to look at the spheres. I don't know, for some reason, I just felt like giving him really good spheres because I just know that whenever Trey does get his FRBT, I'm definitely going to like him and want to use him a lot. So I did kind of go all in on the spheres here, but these are some pretty good ones that I think you can give him, right? So for his A slots, he's got 2 A slots and an E slot. In the A slot, you want to do like brave damage and attack. These kind of counter or off-turn type of characters, I kind of lean a little bit more towards brave damage because they're typically doing a lot of brave hits and that really helps your damage output. So I think Edgar is actually a really nice one here. And trap characters are all about having debuffs anyways. So if you're using Trey, the enemy should be debuffed if you're using Trey appropriately. So Edgar is one of the better debuff spheres in the game. Basically, you get 10% brave damage. Very good. I think brave damage, I think this is probably like one of the best in slots you could put on Trey for A. I think Edgar is very good. Now, if you don't have Edgar, he is getting his FR Echo and BT this month. So if you end up pulling on Edgar at all and pick up some EXs, you can definitely save those and refine some more of these, right? Then I wanted to put this one on here because it's one I never talk about, and it's actually a really good one, and it's Shulk. I always talk about brave damage and attack on the same sphere is really good, and I always talk about Rydia and Jack, and I always forget to talk about Shulk. Shulk's sphere is just as good. It actually might be the best one because it's the easiest one to do. I think Jack's is deal a crit, but Shulk is just attack a broken target or inflict break, which is like pretty much for free, right? And you get 5% brave damage and attack. So just know that whenever I talk about brave damage and attack, just try to remember Shulk is in there. I don't mention her all the time, but kind of when I make these recommendations, I don't always go and I list every single attack sphere in the game, right? Because there's just too many of them. What I do is I tell you these are the stats to buff, and my expectation is you just go in, look at what you have, and find attack and brave damage, and that's kind of what you do. So I'm sure some of you have found this one already. It's just one that kind of went under the radar for me, and I always forget to bring it up. But yeah, Shulk is very good attack and brave damage, so we'll definitely take that. Then on the E slot, there's 2 ways you can go with it. One is you go your standard attack up. Yuffie's particularly good because I do believe that is a debuff trigger, which is what Trey is all about. I think you could go like Emperor Seymour, like those are the standard attack up ones, but I think Trey is a great spot for the Vanille Sphere. And in my opinion, I love the Vanille Sphere. I think it's one of the best ones in the game. Basically, anytime you break an enemy, you basically debuff them or you remove a buff from them, which is really good, right? Now, what I always recommend for Vanille Sphere is you want to put it on like rebreakers or instant breakers characters that can break very easily. Well, one of Trey's traps basically makes it so any brave damage is an instant break. And off-turn damage dealers usually steal breaks from other characters anyways. So Trey just seems like a natural, really good fit for Vanille. So if you're going to use Trey a lot, I would recommend Vanille as a really nice landing spot for that. Anytime I pick up extra Vanille EXs, I always save every copy I can, because this is a sphere I always want to make more of. It's a very good one. You can do the refined one. It just basically has like a % chance of debuffing them. Not guaranteed, right? So if you do the refined one, I think it's got like a 40% chance to debuff instead of 100, something like that, or maybe it's 50. I don't remember what the exact is, but for Vanille, I just like to go full sphere if I can, because I know I get that debuff. So anyways, with that, we'll jump into the showcase here. Now remember, Trey is an LD only character, so he's got no FR, no burst. So we're kind of looking at him as maybe a complement to another team comp. I am going to try to feature him though here and just see what we can make his damage look like with some really good BT auras around him. And I do have a Ultima bow on him. And his armor is the Lufenia armor, but I haven't booked it or anything yet. Although he probably, like the next time I need to book something for an ingot, he might be one that I do. Because I do really like Trey. I think he's a very good character, right? So we're going to surround him with Penelo and Garnet and just try to make him look good. I thought about doing like an off-turn thing with like Rubicante or like Maria. Like he pairs really, really well with Maria's FR. But I figured I kind of already showed him off in a Rubicante showcase and his showcase anyways. I don't think I need a friend unit here. So my thought is we're just going to kind of do a normal showcase, look at him. We don't need to do an FR or anything like that. We just kind of want you to know how he operates and how he works. And we'll just look at kind of like what his normal damage looks like, right? All right, so Trey's going to start out. Now, the way Trey works, there's a few things we just need to know right off the bat. His 35 and his 15, so that's raining arrows and the dynamite arrow, they have charges to them, and you see it starts at charge 1. The way you charge them up is to not use them. So anytime you don't use them, they will go up a charge, and charge 2 is the max charge. So the 15 and 35, you kind of just only want to use them when you're at 2 charges. And so we'll talk about them when we use them. I'm going to talk about them at their max charge, okay? What I usually do is I will open up EX because he's got it for free. And then what that does is it's a non-15 or 35. They're both going to go up to charge 2. So let's hit Grand Delta. And let's see what the damage looks like here. Remember, we don't have any BT auras yet. So this is just a straight up damage with some good aura bots next to him. Okay, so 260k. Now, that's going to look really bad, right? And it is. It's not good damage. You have to remember, though, Trey hasn't gotten a rework in like a year. I'm looking at his last infographic, and it was from March of 2022. So it has been over a year since this guy has had any type of rework. And the fact that I can even mention that he's playable in today's era is actually kind of impressive. So Trey's a character like Rubicante in that his on-turn damage isn't going to be as impressive, and his is really unimpressive because he's so old in terms of his last time he got a rework, right? But he's really there for the traps in the off-turn and to complement another damage dealer and an FR, most notably, that he can get HP gains off with his traps, right? So let's talk about the EX Grand Delta. Did that AoE attack that we saw there, did a Brave gain, and it does put a Fatal Arrow debuff on the enemies. This debuff makes it so that all incoming Brave attacks will inflict break. So this is what makes Trey able to like auto break, which is really, really nice, which I think will pair well with Vanille. And then it also gives the enemies increased Brave damage taken, which is awesome because once again, with traps and off turn, you want a lot of Brave damage because you're usually doing a lot of Brave hits, and it helps your damage output quite a bit, right? So now with that, we can just go into like the 15 and 35 and start showing them off. So let's do Raining Arrows. Now this is at charge 2, which is when you want to use it. Now notice he gets a 3-turn overhead, okay? So what's going to happen is it's going to give him a buff called Accurate Arrow, which is just an attack max Brave up, and then he does more Brave damage and HP damage against debuffed enemies, so that's good. And then it does the Arrow Shower overhead. Now because we had that at charge 2, we get 3 stacks of that, so you notice that's at 3. Basically, after any turn, the enemies are going to get arrow traps rained on them. So what's cool about Trey is that this is a trap that is not taking up a buff slot and it's not taking up a debuff slot. So that's really nice if you want to pair him with other trap characters, because what can happen is they can get really cloggy, right? You talk about a character like Emperor. I think Emperor has 3 unique traps that each take up their own debuff slot. Well, Trey's got 3 traps, and I believe only one of them actually takes up a debuff slot. So that's really, really nice. So let's do Garnet here. And then you saw that the arrows rain down, right? So that's just off-turn damage after every action, and you see it ticks down. So basically, after he uses it, if you do it at charge 2, the next 3 actions are all going to rain down arrows no matter what they are. So that's good for like FR gauge building when you have off-turn FR, right? So we'll go ahead with Garnet. Sure, we'll do the AA. This should rain down arrows. Yep, you don't have to deal damage. So those will just rain down. I would say just the one part that, I guess the one negative I would say about Trey, he's a character where it's hard to consistently keep traps up because like the enemies just burn through them so quick. So it's not like a counter character where like if the enemies are taking a million turns, you're going to guarantee get counters all the time. Like Trey's traps will run out and they will run out quick because you can see Trey's turn's already going to come up and the arrows are gone. Right, so now, like so the thing is even though he has a lot of traps, very rarely will you see them all going at the same time because they get burned through very quickly. So now, you know, those traps are done. We'll wait till Trey's next turn and look at another one. We'll let Penelo do some Penelo stuff. We're going to hit up her BT. All right, so now we got double BT auras up, so Trey's damage should look a little better. But remember, he's like a year-old character that hasn't had a rework. But boy... when Trey gets his FRBT, I think it's going to be pretty good, right? Pretty on fire. Oh, did I do... Hold up. What? Did I go into an actual burst phase? What's going on here? I'm confused. All right, whatever. Let's go ahead and just... Okay, sure, let's do this. That's fine. Why? I'm, like, confused right now. Why is it showing me like in a burst phase, but I didn't use her actual burst phase? Right? Burst to -1? Are you guys seeing this right now? Did we break DFFOO? That'll be an interesting little side. Like I remember I did I did a character guide on Guy, and I don't remember what happened, but I said Guy broke DFFOO because there was some glitch in there. Dude, I'm at -1 burst, and it's active. Like, you saw that, right? I used the FR. I used an FR attack, and the FR gauge is at 50%. And because it's acting like we're in a burst phase. Because in a burst phase, you can just do a free FR attack. Hold on. Sorry, honey. I got to call you back. I'm a little flabbergasted right now. We're in a burst phase, but it's not a burst phase. You guys are seeing this, right? Let me know in the comments. Okay, I'm going to keep going through the guide, but just know I have no idea what's going on right now with this burst phase. We're at turn -1 of burst, and look at the turn order character. It's an invisible slot. We've got some craziness going on here. All right, well, let's do... And look, Trey, look, he's got a skill use of everything, and you can't use the friend unit. It's acting like we're in Trey's burst phase right now. Dude, what is going on right now? This is wild. Okay, let's do dynamite arrows. And let's see, am I going to be in a permanent burst phase? Dude. Okay, so we did dynamite arrows. Let's talk about... We'll try to actually stay focused on the guide here. Wow, this is crazy. All right, so dynamite arrow at 2 charges. It did the attack you saw. You saw the damage wasn't very crazy. He gets that same accurate arrow buff from before that he got from the 15. And then it does put the dynamite debuff down. In the way that this acts, it's not actually a debuff on the enemies. And the way dynamite works is it's just going to tick down. And when it expires, it'll like blow up on the enemy. So it's kind of like a 2-turn tick and then it blows up. So that's an example of that trap, right? Now let's go ahead. Let's do the LD firewall. Dude, Trey broke the game. Okay, 750k. Once again, not that crazy. We're in Trey's burst phase, apparently. Turn -3 of Trey's burst. This is absolutely insane. I don't know what's going on here. I swear, all I did was I did Penelo's green burst attack is what I had intended to do. And maybe I mispressed. I don't know. This is insane. I don't know what's going on, you guys. All right. So anyways, the LD firewall, it does put a firewall debuff on the enemies, and you can see that's the obvious trap. So this is the one like legit trap that takes up a debuff slot. And then this is a 6 turn, and it's going to tick down once after each enemy turn. The firewall trap is like his best, most consistent trap that can last a while, because it does last for 6 turns. And it is just going to do really nice trap damage on it, right? Now, even though it's called firewall, it's actually non-elemental. It's not even fire. So that's why Rubicante would enchant him, and he would still get that. I don't know what to do. I guess we've got a Trey burst phase. This is weird. All right, HP charge 2. Sure. And then... Dude, is this an infinite burst phase? Anyways, I think that's all a Trey's kit, right? I don't think we missed anything. We did the EX, we did the 1535. Yeah, he's an LD only character, so there isn't actually a lot to show. But as a bonus, we get to see a Trey burst phase, and he doesn't even have a burst in the game. Dude, and I don't know, I have not heard about this glitch. We're still going. We're on turn -5 of burst. Sure. Turn -5. We'll take it. Turn -6. Is this infinite Trey? Did we just do infinite Trey? I have to try and recreate this. He's going to get really weak because I don't have skill uses left because it's treating it like a burst phase. I somehow got arrow rain back. That's cool. Or it's showing me I have the arrow buff over my head. Turn -8. Dude, is this an infinite? Hold on, I'm going to put on auto plus and just let him go. He's just going to HP plus. How long does this burst phase last? Turn -9. All right, we're on auto mode. So I kind of... Okay, now we went back to turn -1. So this must be -10, and it doesn't know where to put the numbers. Dude, what is this? This fight would just go forever. What did we do? I'm going to have to go back and rewatch this and try to recreate. Dude, this is absolutely wild. This is going to be like one of the craziest character guides ever. I'm so glad I did this for like this LD only character. And watch, I bet it's like -12, -13. Once it hits -20, I bet that -1 will change to a 2. And then we know we're in turn 20 of burst phase. I'm sorry, guys. I want to end this character guide, but this is such a unique moment. I don't feel like I can end the video right now. Now, this is a Shinryu fight, and we're just doing HP pluses with Trey. So this fight is going to take like freaking forever. So I don't know that I want this to be like a 40-minute video. But this is insane. And now you can see the dynamites are on the enemies, right? So it's kind of unique where it's flashing and it's placed on the enemy, but it doesn't take up a debuff slot. It's not an overhead. It's a very unique type of trap. So the reason they designed Trey that way is to have a lot of debuffs on at once without eating up a bunch of debuff slots. So I do like that. So bottom line, guys, back to that character stuff. Trey is solid, right? He's not like top tier right now or anything, but like if you're a new player and you picked him up with Rubicante, like he can serve you well in this Rubicante like force time or whatever. Just even though the damage isn't crazy, we've seen even with characters like Seven, who doesn't have like a very impressive off turn, those off turns get really big with the force gauge, and it's a lot of extra damage, right? I mean, Garnet's like off turn. I mean, we got him down to 79%. Yeah, see, -2 burst. That means we're on turn 20 plus of burst. So yeah, this is going to be. I'm not going to sit here the whole time because this is going to be like a 40-minute video. But this it reminds me of like an Eateroth or something. Like this is just infinite Trey. Infinite Trey, he's just going to go and go and go and go. So I guess we'll end it there because the game is in an infinite loop. Like I don't think it's ever going to end. Yeah, and here's the thing. I can't build up. Like I was thinking to myself, maybe I could try to interrupt it with a summon. But the summon isn't building up. It's literally treating it like we're in a burst phase. Like this is insane. And Trey has no attacks. Because he's only limited to 1 attack. That's insane because Trey isn't even a burst character, right? So it's showing you that the character, even though they're not coded for a burst, the game still knows how to treat the character if they were in a burst phase. Turn -30 of burst, by the way. This is crazy. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think of Trey. And please, let me know if y'all have ever seen this glitch before. This is absolutely wild. Thanks for watching. We'll catch y'all on the next one.